4 World's Strongest Man titles, the first man to win back-to-back championships twice, pioneer of modern strongman technique, master of mental warfare. This is Magnús Ver Magnússon, the Icelandic Viking, the man who transformed strongman from spectacle into sport and proved that intelligence could triumph over raw power. Reykjavik, Iceland, 1963. A nation of 200,000 souls clinging to a volcanic island in the North Atlantic, where the aurora borealis dances across endless winter nights, and the midnight sun refuses to set in summer. This is a land that breeds survivors, people who understand that strength isn't just physical, but mental and spiritual. Into this world of extremes, Magnús Ver Magnússon is born. Not into poverty, but into the working-class reality of a small island nation where every person matters, every job has dignity, and every challenge must be met with both wit and will. His father works in construction, his hands scarred by decades of honest labor. His mother tends to the home with the fierce independence that defines Icelandic women. They raise their son with traditional Nordic values, self-reliance, quiet confidence, and the understanding that true strength reveals itself not in boasting, but in performance. Magnus's childhood unfolds against Iceland's dramatic landscape. The boy who will one day be called the strongest man on Earth spends his early years fishing in glacier-fed streams, hiking across lava fields, and learning to navigate the psychological challenges of a climate where darkness dominates half the year. School presents its own challenges. Magnus is intelligent but restless, drawn more to physical pursuits than academic study. Not rebellious, but focused on learning that feels immediately useful. He gravitates toward activities that reward both strength and strategy. Wrestling, where technique can overcome size, and track and field, where explosive power meets tactical thinking. His introduction to organized strength training comes through necessity rather than ambition. As a teenager working construction jobs during Iceland's brief summers, he discovers that his natural power can be developed and refined. The heavy lifting required for manual labor becomes informal training. Physical work becomes preparation for something greater. The local gym becomes his second education. Not a modern facility, but a basement space filled with basic equipment and serious lifters. Here he learns that strength has rules, principles of progression, recovery, and adaptation that separate those who get stronger from those who simply get tired. His early powerlifting achievements are modest but consistent. Local competitions, regional records, steady improvement measured in pounds rather than leaps. The pattern that will define his entire career establishes itself early. Methodical progress based on intelligent training rather than dramatic breakthroughs. But powerlifting, satisfying as it is, feels incomplete. The static lifts showcase strength, but don't capture the full range of human power. Magnus finds himself drawn to more dynamic challenges, carrying, loading, pressing overhead. Activities that mirror the functional strength his ancestors needed to survive in one of the world's harshest environments. In 1985, at age 22, he encounters strongman competition for the first time. Not as a competitor, but as a spectator, watching Iceland's first major strongman event. The varied implements, the crowd involvement, the celebration of strength in all its forms. It speaks to something deep in his Nordic soul. His first competition comes later that year. Not a victory, but a revelation. The sport rewards not just strength, but intelligence. Knowing when to push, when to conserve, when to take calculated risks. The mental game fascinates him as much as the physical challenge. Iceland in the 1980s offers limited strongman infrastructure. No specialized coaches, no established training programs, no clear development pathway. What it does provide is something perhaps more valuable, a culture that respects preparation, values consistency, and understands that true strength develops slowly through patient work. Magnus becomes a student of the sport. He studies video footage of international competitions, analyzes the techniques of successful athletes, and begins developing the systematic approach that will become his trademark. Every aspect of performance receives attention: training, nutrition, recovery, mental preparation. His progress through Iceland's strength hierarchy is steady, but not spectacular. Multiple national titles establish him as the country's premier strongman, but international recognition remains distant. Each competition teaches lessons, each victory builds confidence, each defeat reveals areas for improvement. By the late 1980s, Magnus has established himself as a legitimate threat at European-level competitions. Still learning, still growing, but no longer just participating, now competing with realistic expectations of success. The foundation has been laid for what will become one of Strongman's most dominant careers. The boy from Reykjavik has become a force. The construction worker has evolved into an athlete. The student of strength is ready to become a master. The early 1990s marked the beginning of Magnús Ver Magnusson's assault on Strongman's highest peaks. At 28, he possesses the physical tools, standing 6 feet 2 inches and carrying a powerful 300 pounds. But more importantly, he has developed the intellectual approach that will become his signature. His breakthrough comes not through a single dramatic victory, but through consistent excellence across multiple competitions. European strongman events become his proving ground, where he refines the technical and tactical skills that will serve him throughout his career. The 1990 World's Strongest Man in Helsinki provides his first taste of the sport's ultimate prize. He doesn't win, finishes in the middle of the pack, but the experience teaches him what separates good strongmen from great ones. The mental pressure, the media attention, the elevated competition level all provide lessons that can't be learned in smaller events. His training evolves from enthusiastic amateur to systematic professional. The garage gym approach gives way to periodized programming, event-specific preparation, and sophisticated recovery protocols. But the Nordic work ethic remains, patient, persistent, and utterly without compromise. 1991 brings the breakthrough, World's Strongest Man in the Canary Islands. At 28, Magnus arrives not as a hopeful contender, but as a legitimate title threat. His preparation has been meticulous, his confidence earned through years of steady improvement. The competition unfolds with the unpredictability that defines strongman at its highest level. Multiple athletes enter the final day with realistic chances of victory, but Magnus demonstrates the quality that will define his entire career, the ability to perform his best when the stakes are highest. His first World's Strongest Man victory isn't dominant, but decisive. Not a runaway triumph, but a demonstration of superior preparation meeting opportunity. The moment validates years of patient development and establishes him as the sport's new standard bearer. The victory transforms Magnus from promising athlete to global icon, but success brings new challenges, expectations, pressure, and the target that comes with being the man everyone wants to beat. His response reveals the mental strength that separates champions from competitors. 1992 and 1993 see him defending his position without claiming additional titles, still competing at the highest level, still winning major competitions, but learning that staying at the top requires different skills than reaching it. The experience provides education that proves crucial for his later dominance. 1994 marks his return to the World's Strongest Man Summit. This time, the victory is more authoritative, demonstrating not just peak performance, but sustained excellence. The second title validates the first and establishes him as more than a one-time champion. But Magnus isn't satisfied with intermittent success. He wants to establish a new standard for strongman dominance. The 1995 World's Strongest Man becomes the stage for what many consider his greatest performance. The 1995 victory is comprehensive, winning multiple events and controlling the competition from start to finish. This isn't just another title, but a statement of superiority. Magnus demonstrates that he hasn't just reached the sport's pinnacle, but has established residence there. 1996 brings the fourth and final World's Strongest Man title. The achievement makes him only the second man in history to claim 4 championships, joining the legendary Jan Paul Sigmarsson in that exclusive club. More significantly, Magnus becomes the first competitor to win back-to-back titles twice, a demonstration of consistency that has never been replicated. Throughout his peak years, Magnus accumulates victories across strongman's major competitions. European championships, national titles, and invitational events fall to his systematic approach and superior preparation. The totals are impressive, but they tell only part of the story. What sets his achievement apart is the era in which they occurred. The 1990s represent strongman's golden age of talent, John Paul Sigmarsson, Jeff Capes, Bill Kazmaier, and other legends all competing simultaneously. To dominate during this period required not just strength, but the mental fortitude to consistently defeat the sport's greatest athletes. His technique development becomes legendary within strongman circles. The efficiency of his Atlas stone loading, the precision of his overhead pressing, the tactical intelligence of his event selection, every aspect receives attention that borders on obsession. By the late 1990s, Magnus has established himself as more than just another champion. His 4 World's Strongest Man titles represent the peak of strongman achievement, but his influence extends beyond competition results to the sport's technical and professional development. The construction worker from Reykjavik has become strongman royalty. The student has evolved into the master. The Viking has conquered his sport's highest peaks and established standards that continue challenging future generations. What separated Magnús Ver Magnússon from other incredibly strong men wasn't just his physical capabilities, but his approach to strongman as both art and science. While many competitors relied primarily on raw power, Magnus developed a sophistication in technique and strategy that multiplied his natural abilities. His Atlas stone technique became the gold standard for an entire generation of strongmen. The smooth, efficient movement that allowed him to load massive stones with apparent ease wasn't accidental, but the result of thousands of repetitions and constant refinement. Video analysis reveals the subtle details, foot positioning, hip drive, hand placement, that transformed a brutal test of strength into a demonstration of technical mastery. The overhead pressing events showcase similar innovation. Magnus developed approaches to log press and axle press that maximized his leverages while minimizing energy expenditure. His technique emphasized timing and rhythm over brute force, allowing him to maintain performance across multiple repetitions when others faded. His training methodology reflected this technical focus. While maintaining the high-intensity work necessary for elite-level strength, he added layers of specificity that many competitors overlooked. Event practice wasn't just about moving implements. It was about perfecting every aspect of the movement pattern under varying conditions. Mental preparation received equal attention. Magnus understood that strongman at the highest level was as much psychological as physical. His pre-competition routines, visualization practices, and pressure management techniques became as sophisticated as his physical training. His competitive intelligence set him apart from pure strength athletes. Magnus possessed an almost chess-like ability to read competitions, understanding when to push for maximum points, when to conserve energy, and when to take calculated risks. This tactical awareness often proved decisive in close competitions. Recovery and longevity became central to his approach as he aged. What started as intuitive rest and recovery evolved into systematic protocols designed to maintain peak performance across a career spanning more than a decade. Sleep optimization, nutrition timing, and injury prevention received professional-level attention. His influence on younger competitors became part of his legacy while he was still competing. The technical innovations he introduced quickly spread throughout the strongman community. His training methods, once considered unorthodox, became standard practice for serious competitors. The business aspect of his career reflected the same methodical approach that characterized his training. Understanding the finite nature of athletic careers, Magnus developed relationships and opportunities that extended beyond active competition. His approach to sponsorships, appearances, and media commitments demonstrated the same strategic thinking that made him successful in competition. His warm-up routines alone would challenge recreational lifters. The activation sequences, mobility work, and progressive loading that prepared him for maximum efforts represented hours of development and refinement. What appeared to be natural ability was actually the result of systematic preparation. Competition footage from his prime years reveals the calm intensity that supported his success. Not wild emotional displays, but focused, purposeful execution. The demeanor of someone who is prepared thoroughly and trusts his preparation completely. His event-specific strategies became legendary among strongman insiders. The way he approached different competitions based on their unique formats and conditions demonstrated a level of analytical thinking that few competitors possessed. Each event received individualized preparation based on its specific demands. His dietary approach evolved with the sport's understanding of nutrition, while maintaining Nordic common sense. Early in his career, the focus was adequate calories and quality protein. As nutritional science advanced, his approach incorporated new knowledge while avoiding excessive complexity. Equipment selection reflected practical wisdom gained through years of competition. Magnus developed relationships with manufacturers not for commercial reasons, but for genuine product improvement. His input helped refine implements and accessories used throughout the strength community. The technical evolution visible across his career mirrors Strongman's overall development during the 1990s. Early footage shows powerful but basic technique. Later performances reveal the refinement that comes from constant analysis and adjustment. The same events executed with greater efficiency and reduced energy cost. His teaching and mentoring, both formal and informal, became another expression of his technical mastery. The willingness to share knowledge with competitors demonstrated confidence in his own abilities and commitment to the sport's overall development. His transition from competitor to elder statesman showcased another aspect of his character, the evolution from pure competitor to sport ambassador. Not content to simply retire on past achievements, but committed to contributing to Strongman's continued growth and legitimacy. In Strongman circles, debates about all-time greatness inevitably include Magnús Ver Magnússon near the top of every serious discussion. His 4 World's Strongest Man titles alone would secure his place among the sport's elite. But the complete picture of his achievement extends far beyond championship counts. The statistical case begins with those 4 WSM victories, but gains strength through context. Magnus claimed his titles during what many consider Strongman's most competitive era. The 1990s featured unprecedented depth of talent. Legends like John Paul Sigmarsson, Jeff Capes, and Bill Kazmaier, all competing simultaneously. To win 4 titles during this golden age required not just peak performance, but sustained excellence against the sport's greatest athletes. His back-to-back championship achievements, 1991 and 1994 to 1996, represent a level of consistency unmatched in strongman history. Winning consecutive titles requires different skills than claiming individual championships. The mental pressure, elevated expectations, and tactical adjustments necessary for repeat success demand qualities that separate true champions from talented competitors. Beyond World's Strongest Man victories, Magnus accumulated an impressive collection of major titles across Strongman's premier competitions. European championships, national titles, and invitational victories built a resume of breadth and depth that few athletes have matched. The total number of significant wins approaches 20, spanning more than a decade of elite-level competition. But Magnus's influence extended beyond personal achievement to the sport's technical and professional development. His innovations in training methodology, competition strategy, and event technique became standard practice throughout the strongman community. Many elements of modern strongman preparation trace directly to approaches he pioneered during his competitive career. His role in elevating strongman's professional standards deserves equal recognition. The systematic approach he brought to training, competition, and career management helped transform strongman from spectacle to legitimate sport. His professionalism and intelligence contributed to increased media coverage and mainstream acceptance. The longevity of his competitive excellence adds another dimension to his greatness. Maintaining world-class performance across more than a decade requires not just physical gifts, but the mental resilience to continually adapt and improve. His ability to win his final WSM title at age 33 demonstrated sustained excellence well beyond typical athletic prime years. Modern strongman exists partly in his shadow. Current training methods incorporate principles he established. Competition strategies reflect tactical innovations he introduced. Technical approaches to events show his influence throughout the sport's development. When current strongmen discuss all-time greatness, Magnus consistently appears in the conversation, alongside more recent champions with higher-profile achievements. His respect among peers reflects recognition that transcends pure statistics, acknowledgement of someone who elevated the entire sport through his approach and achievements. The debate about greatest strongman of all time will continue as long as the sport exists, with valid arguments for several legendary athletes. But Magnús Ver Magnusson's unique combination of championship success, technical innovation, professional excellence, and transformative impact ensures his position among the very elite. His 4 World's Strongest Man titles may eventually be surpassed by future champions, but the breadth and depth of his overall achievement, combined with his influence on strongman's development, creates a legacy that extends far beyond individual records. Today, more than 2 decades after his final World's Strongest Man victory, Magnús Ver Magnusson's influence on strongman competition remains as solid as the stones he once loaded with effortless precision. His techniques continue guiding elite athletes. His approaches to training and competition provide blueprints that transcend the sport itself. In Iceland, he represents more than athletic achievement. He embodies the Nordic values of intelligence, preparation, and quiet confidence that define his homeland's approach to challenge. The boy from Reykjavik became his nation's most successful strongman and one of its most respected ambassadors to the sporting world. His transformation from construction worker to 4-time world champion provides inspiration that extends beyond strength sports. The story demonstrates that systematic preparation and intelligent application can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds when combined with unwavering dedication. The technical innovations he brought to strongman competition continue influencing how events are approached and executed. His training methods, once considered revolutionary, became foundational principles for elite preparation. His attention to detail and systematic thinking changed how serious athletes approach their craft. His post-competition activities showcase the same methodical approach that characterized his athletic career. Success in coaching, commentary, and business ventures demonstrates that the qualities making him the world's strongest man translate effectively to other challenges and opportunities. The records he established have largely been surpassed. Human performance continues evolving, and modern strongmen train with advantages unavailable during his era. But the consistency and intelligence of his achievement across nearly 15 years of elite competition may never be replicated. Contemporary strongman competitions are conducted with awareness of his legacy. Commentators reference his performances when describing current achievements. Competitors study his techniques and strategies. His influence permeates every aspect of modern strongman preparation and competition. His approach to training, the combination of systematic progression, technical precision, and intelligent recovery, became the template for professional strongman preparation. What once seemed like excessive attention to detail is now recognized as necessary foundation for elite-level success. The mental qualities he demonstrated, consistency, tactical intelligence, and competitive drive maintained across more than a decade, provide models for achieving sustained excellence in any demanding pursuit. His career illustrates what becomes possible when talent meets preparation and systematic thinking. His international success helped establish strongman as legitimate athletic competition rather than mere entertainment spectacle. His professionalism and articulate representation of the sport contributed to increased respectability and mainstream recognition. The generation of strongmen who followed built upon foundations he established. Training methodologies, competitive approaches, and professional standards all evolved from precedents he set during his prime years. His influence extends through every current elite athlete who benefits from his innovations. Years from now, when strength historians compile definitive lists of the sport's greatest athletes, Magnús Ver Magnússon will occupy a unique position, not just as one of the most successful competitors, but as the man who helped transform strongman from spectacle into sport through intelligence, innovation, and unwavering professionalism. The construction worker who became a champion, the student who evolved into the master, the competitor who transformed his sport through systematic excellence and tactical brilliance. From the lava fields of Iceland to the pinnacle of international strength sports, from humble beginnings to legendary status, from local talent to global icon, the journey of Magnús Ver Magnússon represents achievement in its most complete and inspiring form. In strongman circles, debates about all-time greatness will continue evolving as new champions emerge and different eras are compared. But when discussions focus on technical mastery, competitive intelligence, sustained excellence, and transformative impact on the sport itself, one name consistently appears at the top of every serious analysis: the Icelandic Viking, the master tactician, Magnús Ver Magnússon.